Carlos, give me a card.
Oh, who brought this guy?
It's the last mistake I'll ever make. I promise.
Memory card?
Yeah.
That's important.
They usually help, huh?
I was a junior and senior when JJ was really starting to blow up.
How do you think at the time it affected you?
It made me resent my brother in a weird way.
Were you depressed at the time?
Yeah, because I couldn't go out. Like I'm gonna do everything that I possibly can to make it to the NFL. Winning a playoff game is absolutely motivating me. It's something that we haven't been able to do since I've been there. I think that's absolutely unacceptable. For the longest time, I tell people, I truly feel like I was put on this earth to play football. I can sit here now and say that's absolutely not the case.
How long has it taken you to at least feel like you're in some sort of rhythm with it, even if you haven't fully adjusted?
I'm getting interviewed because you're getting ready. It's so funny.
We have a full-time or part-time researcher who's been with us for like 14 years.
Yeah.
You're tough to find stuff on from NFL days on.
Yeah.
There's a ton Wisconsin and growing up.
There's really not much, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
Well, you just don't like doing this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like even now, like I'm kind of off social media almost completely. I download Instagram every now and then, but it's kind of like, unless it's like an advertisement or some sort of deal like that, I kind of don't see the point of like necessarily having to include people and what
was Brett saying earlier?
We don't about your social. I said,
okay, raise it.
do Instagram like me.
Yep.
Wife's like anniversary, wife's birthday, and then like.
Well, yeah, that's like when I have to re-download it, you know. I'm like, all right, well, I can't miss this one.
No,
I know I didn't do Dad's birthday this year, and I was like, I don't know if he'll see it or not.
Mother's Day every once in a while.
So go to here's I think if we right.
I know I'll probably
download?
bring the price down on the social media posts, but I don't care at this point.
It is kind of poison, though. I mean, that it's like you can
just
get
sit there
so
and scroll.
consumed, right?
Well, when you're holding the baby too, it's like, what else am I going to do? I'm sitting at 2 hours. Like, screen time is just going through the roof.
Do you have, you only have one account, or do you have an account that like?
No, one account, a lot, Finsta or something like that. I hear that. I'm
or
sure
you can
Herb's
have
got
like
one.
accounts that like you follow, joke crap that you don't want. Like,
none of that. It's actually like how I got off Twitter was me and Herbig had a bet last year, like who can stay off social media or Twitter the longest.
Oh, really?
We just both deleted it, and I went to get it back after the season. I got on. I was like, this is too much going on. Let me just get rid of it. So it's allowed me to be more present. Absolutely, like no doubt. Like,
right. And if you're off it, you don't really miss it after
Never.
a little bit.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Audio speeding.
Was it okay that I put the shoes on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
We had them off going down here, and then I just put them on for the interview.
We got Ferragamos or something.
I'm trying to look.
Yeah, those are allowed down here.
I'm not the NFL star, so. You got the receding hairline and everything, so I'm like enjoying my waning days of being so
This
much
is going to
presentable.
be quite the catalog.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're having, a boy or a girl?
A boy.
Awesome. This is going to be so cool for them to look back on. This is kind of why I wanted to do it too, just to be able to have it
That's
in the
when
archives.
John goes, TJ doesn't do these. He said he's never doing it again, but he's willing to do it this one time because he figures something to show the kids someday.
It would be cool. I think it's great. I really do.
All right. I think now we're good to go. How's being a father?
Fun. It's an absolute blast. It is. The mornings are the best. Obviously, it's also great, but the mornings, to be able to go up there and wake her up, and she's always so smiley in the mornings and giggly. It's the best.
How does it compare to what you were expecting?
It's so different because I kept telling Danny, like, it doesn't feel real, and she's like, look at me, I have a baby in my belly. Because she can feel it. Obviously, she has a baby inside of her, but I'm just kind of going through my life like everything's normal, except for putting a crib together and things like that. So I didn't really have an expectation of what I thought it would feel like. But once, she came out and I saw her for the first time, it's been over since then.
Abject terror, or no, like completely comfortable with it?
I'm pretty comfortable with it, honestly. It's because the timing has been so great too, where it's the off season. She was born March 5th. So
now, were you guys intentional about trying to?
Okay. Very intentional. Yes, we had like a delay.
Worked out.
We took our delayed honeymoon because we got married July 9th, so it was right before training camp. So then we weren't able to take a proper honeymoon, so we put it off. I think it was 2 years when we ended up going over to Europe for a little trip, and we planned it out great. And luckily, Blakely came out when she did.
Where'd you go?
We went to Austria. Leogang, I think it was called, Hallstatt, and then we went to the Amalfi Coast in Italy. It was pretty nice.
How about the hardest part so far of fatherhood?
Time management. Danny and I just keep looking at each other and we're like, what did we do before Blakely was here? Like, we didn't understand how much time we had on our hands, because now you're constantly watching a baby monitor, or you're always having her in your hands trying to help console her in some sort of way. So there's been a lot of challenges, but
So I was talking to your mom and dad,
Yeah.
and I asked them that same question, and they said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They said it's interesting because both, TJ and Danny, athletes, used to having very structured days, and now the schedule changes 20, 30 times a day, and there's literally nothing they can do about it.
Absolutely, and that's where having a great partner helps in all this, and having Danny, because sometimes she's crying hard for me and then I can just hand her off to Danny or vice versa, and that's all it takes to get her to stop crying. It's pretty crazy that way, and I have so much respect for all the single parents out there, because it could be an absolute grind.
How long has it taken you to at least feel like you're in some sort of rhythm with it, even if you haven't fully adjusted?
I'm getting interviewed because you're getting ready. It's so funny. I'd say probably like 2 weeks. I mean, I know it sounds like a long time, but just because everything's so new, breastfeeding's new, having a baby sleep in the same room as you is new, wiping.
And you guys knew you wanted to have it sleep in the same room?
For the first, before we had the night nurse, obviously, for the first couple of days of her life, you have her sleep in the same room as you, just so you don't want to trust a baby monitor, and you want to make sure that you wake up when she wakes up, and everything like that.
Yeah, so you were starting to say before I interrupted, got in a routine, took a couple.
Yeah. So we finally got into a nice routine, and I became the diaper guy, where I would change the diaper and then bring Blakely over to Danny so she could feed, and then trying to wash and wash all the parts and everything like that, as well as.
Derek, your brother, was telling me it's so funny because he tried to have you change, I think,
Yeah,
one
I
of his
wasn't
kids'
changing,
diapers.
yeah.
He's like, he was horrible. So the notion that he's like suddenly
It was my
able
own
to
kid.
do it, yeah.
That's what I said about being an uncle, is it was the best. I could just hang out. I could be the fun guy. As soon as they cried, bam, here's mom and dad. As soon as they need a diaper, here's mom and dad. But once it's your own kid, it's become so natural to want to just assist and help any way I can. But yeah, we were going through 1 million diapers a day, because you're supposed to wait until the blue lines are fully blue, top to bottom. So on a diaper, there's those blue lines. If they're blue lines, you have to change them. I was changing them whenever there was a little bit of blue, because I wouldn't want to be hanging out with pee in my pants. So I was changing them as much as I possibly could for her.
What do you think having a kid has taught you?
It's given me so much perspective on what's important. It's shown me how much I love my wife. It's shown me how selfish I can be at times, and how selfless I feel like I'm working towards now. It's keeping me grounded. It's giving me purpose. For the longest time, I tell people, I truly feel like I was put on this earth to play football and be the best football player I can be. And I mean, I can sit here now and say that's absolutely not the case. I'm meant to be a father, and I'm meant to be a great husband and a son and all those things. And that's what's important to me. And it's allowed me to take a back seat and say, holy cow, I've got it all wrong. And yeah, man, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Challenging labor. Spent an hour on the phone with Danny talking about it yesterday. Give kind of, if you don't mind, take me through from your vantage point, everything that happened from the moment labor starts.
You want to start? So my wife is a superhero, really. She was due February 22nd, and Blakely was born March 5th. So she went overdue, and was getting super anxious about the birth of Blakely, and
2 days shy of 42 weeks.
which is when they have to.
Which is 2.5 weeks past.
Yep.
normal due date.
Yeah, and we didn't know the gender either, so we were like already super anxious to try to figure out, like, is it a boy, is it a girl?
You were convinced it was a boy.
I was convinced
Telling
it was a boy.
everybody.
I really
understand.
was.
Yeah.
I really was. And Danny does so much research on her own. She's trying to do the mile circuit. There's all these different curb walking. We're reading books on these natural childbirthing ways and trying to do the best that we can to, when the situation comes, we're absolutely ready for the moment. When the moment finally came, or we thought came, was like 4 or 5 days before she actually gave birth. She was having Braxton Hicks for a long time, but she got like active labor contractions where they were really intense, and they were like a minute apart for like probably like an hour or two.
And you're thinking what?
So I'm thinking, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Like, this has to be it. We get Danny in the tub, and I'm just trying to help her be as comfortable as possible. And then luckily that kind of slowed things down, and she was able to calm back down, and the contractions slowly subsided. So we were like, that was probably our window. We didn't know like what to feel. Like, you're gonna see, like, was that our opportunity? Like, did we miss the natural window? And then a couple days later, she got a membrane sweep, which sucks to be a part of. It sucks to see your wife go through that.
Which means what?
It's painful for them, where they go in and actually like sweep around in there to try to separate the membrane or whatever from her, so that it allows the baby to hopefully drop down lower to beat birth. And that's not a fun experience at all for her or for me to see her go through that. And later that night at like 9 o'clock, she started getting contractions again. And then they kept intensifying as the night went on. So then we called our doula, which I'm very thankful that we had at the time. And I basically said, like, these contractions are different than what I've experienced. They were kind of like last week, but these are a minute apart. They seem to be getting more intense. And she's like, okay, we'll get her in the tub, get her to calm down. Actually, let me rephrase this. Okay. So they're getting so intense. Danny will laugh at this. They're getting so intense, right? And I'm like, she wakes up like 10 o'clock, whatever, by the time they get super intense, because I'm like, at like 8:30 or 9 when they started, I was like, well, they just say just try to sleep as much as you can and rest, because if it's going to happen, you want to be rested. So she hits me like 9:30 or 10. She's like, they're getting really intense. Call our doula and let her know what's happening. So Danny is literally in the bathroom, like leaning up on the counter, and I'm like, okay, like, so call Lisa and tell her what? She's like telling me everything to say. Tell her my contractions. You know, I'm kind of freaking out.
Yeah, right.
So I call Lisa.
Understandably so.
I call Lisa and I'm like, hey Lisa, Danny's having contractions. And Danny's like, what are you doing? Tell her everything that's happening. And I'm like, hold on, Danny wants to talk to you. Danny's like, no, you need to tell her exactly what's happening. Like, for whatever reason, the adrenaline kick that you get in that moment, I like froze and I couldn't like articulate what was actually going on in the moment. But luckily I was able to gather myself and tell her.
Which is funny for you, somebody who's used to high pressure professional.
No, trust me,
yeah.
It is nothing like playing football or playing in front of thousands of people. But we were able to get her to the hospital. This was probably like 3 in the morning now, or 4 in the morning. She was already super like into labor. We got her up to the room. I think she was like 4 or 5 centimeters dilated already. She wanted to go, no pain meds, no nothing. She labored for like 2 or 3 hours, in and out of the tub. And then she got up to like 7 or 8, and they were like, okay, like the nurses started scrubbing up. We thought it was about to happen. She gets all the way to 9, and she's like, I can't take the pain anymore. She's like, I can't possibly take this pain anymore. And I'm like, Danny, are you sure? Like, you need to let me know, because multiple times before this, she's kind of had those doubts. But in all your research, it says like when you have those doubts is when you're about to break through. And we've already done that like 3 or 4 times. So we finally got to 9. She's like, I can't possibly take this pain anymore. It's the worst pain I've ever been in. Like, please take the pain away. And I'm like, one more time, you're 100% sure, like, I know you want natural, but this is where it's my call here. So I'm like, she's like, we said before, like, vacation is the word. And she's like, no, I need to go on vacation. Like, I want the pain to stop. So we called for an epidural at that point, and she had a bad experience with epidural in college, so it was pretty tricky. She had double labrum surgery in her hips, and she didn't have a good experience with the epidural. So she was really nervous to do that, and I just remember she was at 9 and she was getting contractions like every 45 seconds to a minute, and they're like, it's the most intense thing you've ever seen. Like, she's looking through you, like just almost out of body experience. And I just remember holding her as hard as I possibly could so she couldn't fall over while they try to stick this needle into her back, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm about to pass out because I don't want to see the needle either, but I'm trying to stay as strong as I can for her. And do the epidural, they get a successful epidural, and then they're like, all right, Danny, well, let's rest. So she was able to rest for like another hour or two before we started pushing again. But the crazy thing is once she got the epidural, she couldn't feel really anything down there. So she couldn't remember how to push. You know what I mean? She couldn't remember how it felt because she didn't have any feeling. So we eventually got her to try to push for like another hour or two. I mean, it's a long day. And it got to the point where the doctor said, your baby's heart rate is plummeting. Like, we need to do an emergency C-section right now. And
like the heart rate was apparently below what it even is normally for an emergency C-section.
Yeah, it was super low, and I just remember saying, can you please leave the room? I just need a minute, like, to talk to my wife, because Danny it was hard because you picture something to go so perfect, and you plan for 9 months, you research and you do everything right, you do the mile circuit, you have all the meetings, she's eating the right food, she's trying to do everything possibly right for our baby, and to have to not go the natural route and go the epidural route was already kind of, I never want to use the word failure or loss, because it's not. It's just kind of like a course alteration for her in that moment. And that was kind of hard for her to absorb. But she overcame that. And then it's like once she started going again, it's like another thing happened. So it was just a lot of emotions at once, and I knew it wasn't exactly what she had wanted. So to be able to get the room cleared and just have that conversation with her was special.
What'd you say?
Just whatever you want to do, Danny, I'm completely with you. Like, because there's other people that say, like, you can still have a vaginal birth through this. Like, C-section should never be on the table. But I said, like, whatever your decision is here, I am completely with you. But at the end of the day, we need to do what's best for our baby. And she broke down. She said, I understand, and I'm crying because I'm hurt at the situation, and I know what I have to do. And within...
What about that, you telling it even gets to you right now?
Just how intense it is, man. It's so intense. The moment is just like, holy crap. We're in 2025 and this is still like life or death, it feels like, in that moment. And I don't feel like it should be that way, but obviously it is. And within 10 minutes, my wife is wheeled out of the room and she's going into emergency surgery, and it's a major surgery. I mean, people have died from having C-sections.
She said she's being read her rights as...
Yeah, exactly, and it sucks, it really does. And thankfully, she was able to have a successful surgery, and I was able to be there with her behind the curtain. I know you asked where I was. I was behind the curtain. I didn't want to see that. I was ready for the vaginal part, but I wasn't ready for the C-section part. And that was a success. And to be able to see this human being that is half of me, half of her, is incredible. And I always say it would have been so different if we would have just went in and had a planned C-section. And you know, I don't have anything against that, but I think the experience that we went through is something that I would never give back. And I know it's selfish of me to say, because I wasn't the one going through the pain, but it gave me a whole new perspective about how much I love my wife and how strong she is.
In that moment, even if you didn't say it at the time, did you have even fleeting concerns for her well-being?
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of that. I mean, that's the dilemma.
Like, are you thinking, oh my gosh, she could die?
That's the dilemma. Is like, it's so heavy because there's those conversation, like we never truly had the conversation like if I had to choose you or if I had to choose myself or the baby for her. And because we wanted to have positive energy the whole time. And
But you're aware that
exactly.
could be on the
Absolutely.
horizon. Yeah.
And then when you're in the surgery room or whatever, the operating room, and you're like, holy crap, there's like 8 or 9 people around. We're in a sterile environment. Like, this is a lot more serious than it ever could be. And that's kind of where, after she's born, those next couple days are the ones where you really have to keep an eye on your wife because of the blood clots and things of that nature. So I think it was more so after Blakely was born that my concern shifted to make sure that Danny was okay.
And everything worked out.
Everything worked out, man. Yeah. Here we are, and it's the best. It really is. It's awesome.
Okay, so we were talking about this momentarily before the interview started, but you obviously had great parents, well documented. You and your brothers talk about it all the time. One of the obvious differences in the dynamic that your child or children are going to have growing up is they're going to be very well off.
Yeah.
How do you figure out what the balance is between your success creating opportunities for them and avoiding doing it in a way that dampens motivation?
It's the golden question. And that's something that me and my brothers talk about all the time is how do you reap the benefits of all your hard work without spoiling your kids? Or it's so much easier said than done to just be on a private jet and say, well, we're here because I earned this and I worked hard. Like, some of that doesn't translate to a kid to make it make sense to them. But I think it's rooted in values and what's important and surrounding yourself with amazing people who keep you in check. There are no yes men in our lives, at least I don't like to think so. And that's why it's important to come back to Wisconsin and train here and not turn my back on Brad and go to some big time facility out in Arizona or California. Nothing against those places, but they don't have my best interests like the people here do, and I think that's important.
It was funny, I was talking to somebody the other day who had a ton of success, was retired, had kids a little later in life, and realized he needed to go back to work, not because he was bored, but because he didn't want his kids to see dad home when they left for school and dad home when they came home from school. And so that's kind of interesting when you think about, post playing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with school too. Like, Danny always gives me a hard time because she got a degree and I didn't. I'm like 17 credits short, and a big thing is like, how are you going to expect your kids to want to go to school, or how do you enforce your kids to go to school to get a degree if you don't have your own? And I'm not ready to go back to school. Yeah, right. I'm not ready to go back to school anytime soon, if at all. So, but I do see that, like, it's all through example. It's easy to say something to a kid, but they're more likely to emulate if they see you do it.
What do you think you learned from your mom and dad about parenting?
Love, sacrifice, trying to be the best that you can be for your kids and being present. My parents were always present. My dad was a firefighter. My mom was high up at her company at Independent Inspections for a long time. And
started as a secretary, I think. Yeah.
And they had busy lives. They could have easily said, we have our friends, we want to hang out with our friends and have their date nights and not always have time for us or have us have babysitters. And they didn't. They truly immersed themselves in our lives and made sure that we had everything that we could possibly need. We grew up playing hockey, which is an expensive sport. It's a tough sport for a family, especially with 3 boys who, hockey, you have to travel all the time, so you're constantly getting pulled apart each and every direction. And they just always made it work. They always found a way to make it work for us and instill in us that hard work works and it gets rewarded, and to always do the right thing and that gets rewarded. And my mom probably told you it was always important when my dad was home on nights that he was home from the firehouse that we'd always get together and have family dinners whenever we possibly could to just have that time together. because time gets lost, it really does, and I'm learning that more as I grow up. It goes by so fast that it's important to remember and have those conversations with your family at the end of the day.
How would you explain the role they play in your life today?
That's a good question. Besides just being grandparents, I think we're evolving into becoming, more so friends and enjoying each other's company and not always having that parent mentality where it's do this or do that, or if I want to ask for advice in something, I'm going to go ask them for advice. It's not overbearing where they're always trying to give advice or always trying to parent. I think that's something.
Was that a tough shift?
I think for a little bit it was, if I'm being completely candid with you. I think it's...
How did you get through that period?
I think it's understanding their side and understanding that it's, as parents, especially of three kids who have made it to the NFL and have had a lot of great success, it's hard to, like as a parent, go through life where you're so involved all the time, and then when you grow up and get married and have your own family, to have to close that chapter. And I think, obviously I'm not speaking from experience, but like you get that empty nest chapter of your life where that can be complicated, and then you kind of get where they get married and then have kids, and it's sad because there is a separation there where you're not spending as much quality time as you once were, but that's why it's important to have the time that you do spend as quality as possible.
Did I read you and your mom FaceTime like every day? You text her
we FaceTime all the time. We do. We stay connected. We really do. And my dad...
You've called her like your best friend, I think,
she
right?
was my number one customer, yeah, my mom. Because there was a lot of time where in high school, I mean, my dad was, like I said, was a firefighter. He'd work 48, 72-hour shifts sometimes, or it was just my mom and I, while Derek was at school and JJ was in the NFL. We would just spend a lot of quality time together.
What do you think she taught you?
That's a good question, man. My mom is so dedicated to, like I said, working up from her company, and she's very strict, very stern. She says what she wants.
Like how so?
Like are you saying strict? Like we would have to do book reports in the summers. She's very defensive of her family. People don't mess with Connie Watt. They know that. Anybody that knows her knows that. She's very proud of her family and what she's built, and she should be. She's a damn good mom, and she's a damn good grandma. And
she mentioned she remembers getting up at 4:30, 5 a.m. with you some
the
mornings to
flashcards?
study. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was probably 6th or 7th grade. I was a terrible student.
Were you?
I'll admit that. I was a terrible student. I had a exam on all the bones in the body or something the next day, and I couldn't get it for the life of me. So she's like, TJ, we're gonna wake up at 4:30 tomorrow morning. Like, we're gonna go over all these flashcards we can, and we're gonna get it. And I think I think I ended up passing, but it was just like one of those things where she wasn't gonna let me fail. Like my parents, whether they knew I was gonna be great at football or whatever, they wanted to give me as much of an opportunity to be successful in whatever it was that I chose to do. And I don't think they could have lived with not giving it everything they possibly could. And I think that's kind of where that came from.
What do you think your dad taught you?
Working hard, for sure. I think my dad,
They both kind of had their own areas, right? Like mom was more academic, dad was more athletic.
Yes, yes. My dad, so here's a little story about my dad, like to get a picture. Very hard on us athletically.
What's an example of how he was hardest?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just give you an example. When we were young, like, do you know what presidential physical fitness testing is?
Oh, sure.
Like in school, like flexed arm hang, reach and hold, mile run, shuttle run, stuff like that. We would, in the summers, and I don't even know if we still have the school records or what, but like in the summers we would go up to the school and we'd run a mile. Like this was like once a week or a couple times a week. We would, every night before dinner, we'd have to do like 30 pull-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that, just to instill working hard. And I always tell the story too of at Next Level, you see that glass partition there, right? Of like the waiting room. Well, my dad used to always come and watch in the waiting room, and there used to be a dumbbell rack right in front of him. This was when I was first going there, 7th or 8th grade. And I would go to grab like 30s, you know, like first set. And the next set I'd go to grab the 30s again, and he'd be like, and he'd be like go up. Like we don't do the same thing both times. Like you're here to get better. So like, and then you get home and he'd be like, I'm paying for you to do this. Like if you don't want to do it, don't do it, but I'm paying for you to do it. If you want to be successful, this is X, Y, and Z of why you have to do it. And things like that rubbed off on me quickly. I mean, Derek and JJ, when they were in high school, they went to morning liftings. So you'd go to school at 6 in the morning before school started, and you'd work out with the football team. But I wasn't old enough to do that when I was in 7th grade. It was only high schoolers. So I asked my parents if we could go to Snap Fitness when Derek would go work out at the high school. So for, I don't know how long it lasted. I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks, but my parents would wake up with me at 5:30 in the morning. We'd go over to Snap Fitness at 6. I'd work out with them and come back home, eat breakfast, and go to school. It was pretty cool. I was never told no if I wanted to work hard. It was just one of those things where I was always trying to instill working.
What did the chore chart entail?
Cutting the lawn. So like we would split the lawn into thirds to make sense for obviously Derek, JJ, and me, and we would fight over who cut the side of the house because the side of the house was the shortest, or like the shortest amount. And one day it was just Derek and I, and we were home. JJ was already off at college. Our neighbor, we didn't like him. He threatened to take our dog's voice box out because we had a beagle at the time and he barked a lot. But one day we're out there mowing the lawn and he's like, oh, I'll mow the side of your house for you. Like, no problem. Like, oh, we're turning the page. Like, this guy's awesome. Like, yeah, no problem. He goes out there and like 10 minutes in, we hear like a big bang, bang, bang. And he's like, he's out there looking underneath his lawnmower. Well, Derek and I didn't pick up the sticks. So he like broke his lawnmower, and that was like the one time we could have impressed the neighbor. And from that point on, we never talked to him again, and we were stuck cutting the full side of the yard.
What was the deal with the 2 dinners daily?
Yeah, 5 o'clock and then 8 o'clock. We'd wake up to a 5-egg omelet every morning. I mean, you'd always have a full breakfast, either omelet or pancakes or muffins or something fresh. And then they would send us to school with 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. One you'd eat before lunch, one you'd eat after lunch.
And then you would have 2 lunches. You'd pay for 2 school lunches.
Double lunch at school, yeah.
Which I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, double lunch. So yeah, chicken patty, you just get 2 of them, obviously. And then after school, you'd come home at like from next level or track practice, and you'd eat dinner at 5. And that'd be like a spaghetti with garlic bread or something. And then at like, 7:30 or 8 o'clock, my dad would make like salami sandwiches, or whether it's that, or my dad always wanted to recreate things. So if like I went to Noodles and Company and I loved the Japanese pan noodles, he'd be like, oh, I can make the Japanese pan noodles. So then like that'd be like something later in the night. He never the same, but I give him a lot of credit. Yeah. You know, like we were into the chicken bacon ranch at Subway. He thought he could make it exactly the same. It never quite hit the same.
Give context to their insane travel schedule, your parents, as you got later in schooling.
It got crazy, it really did, because I was a junior and senior when JJ was really starting to blow up. So what was that, 2011, 2012.
They told me yesterday on the phone that you kind of, like genuinely, junior and senior year kind of felt abandoned.
Yeah, it genuinely was difficult to deal with at the time, and I don't think I knew how to handle those emotions at the time. And I think
how did it come out in you?
It's just, I think I suppressed it, I really do. And I think I just kept being left with my grandpa, or I was just kind of like, I felt like I was left with whoever was in town to be able to watch me. And now that I'm old enough to understand why, it makes a lot more sense to me. And I never really resented my parents for it, but it was definitely a tough time in my life.
How do you think at the time it affected you?
It made me resent my brother in a weird way. Yeah, which I never really wanted to feel. And I would use it as a crutch at times, where I'd say, oh, I'm not JJ, or I'm not Derek, you know what I mean? And that obviously isn't the way to handle it either. But the older I get, the more I can reflect on it and understand my parents' side of it. And they weren't trained on how to be an NFL parent of a defensive player of the year, and go to Pro Bowls in Hawaii and do all these amazing things. And they were trying to navigate those waters too. So I don't hold that against them, but it was definitely a tough part of my life where it felt like I would come home and there wouldn't be anyone home, or there would just be me and my grandpa, and I loved time with my grandpa, but it just wasn't.
He was biggest fan.
Yeah, he was, but it just wasn't the family dynamic that I grew up knowing.
Even if it was for unhealthy reasons, to what extent do you think that played into kind of underlying additional drive that you developed?
Definitely. I mean, I think I still deal to this day of wanting attention of some sort, and wanting to be as successful as possible to feel that. And not saying that you have to do that to feel love from my parents. That's not the case, but it definitely drove me to want to be an NFL player, to want to have my parents want to come and watch me play and be a part of what my story has in store.
So you finally make the AAA team in hockey.
Yeah, and they pulled the rug out from under me.
What happens?
I loved hockey. I really did. I finally...
Your first love,
Yeah.
or maybe the sport you most love.
I loved hockey. I still to this day love hockey. And
You want to play in possibly beer league when you retire.
I think beer league would be the most fun to do after done playing. But yeah, I finally made AAA, and like I said before, it was just such a tough sport to have three boys to, especially at that, because you're at different levels and you're getting pulled different directions. And by the time I even got like my breezers. I think I got the jersey and everything.
You had to give the
and then
jersey
the kid
away.
came and knocked on the freaking door, and it was like, I'm like, I have to hand over my breezers and my jersey to this kid, and I'm just like, whatever, man. That was like one of those things where I'm really jealous that Jada and Derek got to experience AAA hockey, and Jada got to travel to Germany with my grandpa and my dad and have those stories, and I felt shorted in that aspect. But
I have been told that specifically still gets to you a little bit to this day.
that I didn't get to do that? Yeah, because it's like, I felt like I was pretty damn good at hockey, and obviously JJ and Derek were really good too, but...
You think you could have gone pro in hockey?
We'll never know,
football?
and that's part of it, you know, is... but hindsight, again, it's an expensive sport, it's tough, and I mean, it worked out well, so I can't be too upset.
What do you remember from your parents living with you and Derek for a month at Madison?
Honestly, I haven't thought about that in a long time. That's another example of my parents and just the people that they are and the parents that they are. Is I had my knee surgery, Derek had his foot surgery around the same time, so they moved into the hotel on campus, and they would drive us to and from class, to and from PT appointments, to everything. And back to the food thing is, I just remember I'd leave class, come out, the car would pull up, I'd sit in the back and there'd be a deli sandwich there and a drink already. It's like, just so thoughtful, always like putting us first and trying to do everything they possibly can to help us, because other kids don't have that opportunity to have their parents just come out, and that's thanks to JJ again for allowing my parents to retire when they did, so they could help us in that moment. But to be able to have your parents to lean on at a time where I was in a very low point of my life, going through surgeries and position changes and all that, to be able to have that normalcy and have family dinners, even if it was in a hotel room, was special.
Your mom cried yesterday when she was talking to me on the phone about that period you went through then.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't play a snap for like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to kind of that time and what's going through your head.
Yeah, so my freshman year at Wisconsin was great. I was a tight end. I was scout team. Had like scout team player of the week a lot. Like we had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And I thought it was important for me to go up against other 20, 22-year-old grown men in football. And I thought it was important for me to redshirt that year and get my confidence. And then like December came around in bowl prep. You do a lot of inter-league stuff where it's against your own guys, and we're doing like a drill, and I dislocated my kneecap, and it was just one of those things where it swelled up at the time, and they just said, just let it rest, and you can come back in the spring and you'll be fine. Came back in the spring and like the second or third practice it happened to my left knee. So it's like, okay, well, I rehabbed my right, it worked, so then it was my left, so let's just rehab that. I'll come back in the fall. Came back in the fall and it happened again to my right, like 2 practices in. So then I was like, all right, I'm not gonna continue to do this. Clearly something's wrong. So that's where, again, thanks to JJ, down in Houston, Walt Lowe, the team doctor, was able to get me in and get surgery on my knee. And that was when they were playing LSU in the bowl game, Wisconsin. So like I got surgery that week and was a dumbass and like tried to be cool and like go to like the pep rally and all this stuff, and like 3 days after surgery and I'm on pain meds and I'm like trying to like walk on it like stupid. And it took me like a lot longer to recover. The first time around it was like 4 or 5 months. And then I came back in spring ball and that happened to my left knee. It's like same exact thing. So I was like, all right, I'm not wasting any more time, fly back down, get the surgery. And that was cool too, because I got to spend quality time with my brother, who I admired and didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with in his adulthood yet. And to be able to see the house, and every time I go to visit JJ, I take a picture and video of his house, because he's been in different houses. He's been in like 8 different houses, but like, because he always lives in the coolest houses, and I always use it as motivation. Like, I probably have like 6 videos on my phone, just like videoing the outside of his house, and it's just like, wow, like hard work works. Like, you're doing so great for yourself, and like, I see the blueprint. I see everything behind. Like, I know why you have this great stuff, and I want it too. And it was great to be able to spend that time with him. And then came back up after having the surgery, was way more smart about it. Had a purpose. I said, this is the last time that I'm gonna go through this surgery, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'm gonna put all my chips in the middle of the table and give it everything I have. And I think it only took me like 3 months, maybe 4 months tops, to recover from it.
But you thought if it didn't work, that was probably it.
Yeah.
What was the like worst of the headspace you were in?
So I did the first time, and I was very distraught. Called my dad, told him everything, and then when I got the surgery, I was back on a high. I thought I was going to be great. I was going to go into spring ball, going to kill it as a tight end. Had all these great plans, and then he'll tell you, I called him like a second or third practice, like in the middle of practice. Like, he knew exactly what happened, because he knew what time our practice was, and it was like half hour into practice. It just kind of broke down, and I was like, I have no idea why this keeps happening to me. Feel like I've done everything right. I've trained hard. I want it. I'm trying to be as proactive as possible with Brad and get my body right. I'm studying the playbook. I feel like I have potential to do some damage on this team, like be an asset. And this keeps happening to me. And he's just like, I don't have the answer for you, son. Like, I just want you to know we fully support you, and we want what's best for you, and you take the lead. And I said, well, I want to get surgery one more time on this side, and then we'll go from there. And that's where, like, I watch Derrick Rose videos, I watch Adrian Peterson videos in my dorm room or my apartment. All those are huge.
Like how so?
I think that's why it's important to do stuff like this too, is to, like, you never know what someone's going through or where someone can find motivation. And to be able to see guys that went through severe knee injuries and were able to come back and play at a high level, like at the time, that's all I needed to see. I needed to see someone go through it and do it, come out on the other side. And that was very important for me, and just gave me the energy to be able to get up off the couch and start rehabbing and stop being so pitiful towards myself.
Were you depressed at the time?
Yeah, because I couldn't go out. Like, my buddies would want to go out, like Mifflin, like the big party. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be a college kid at the time, which was, I think, looking back, was good for me. Because I think my freshman year, I kind of lived up college a little too much. I don't think I was as focused as I should have been. Which is
funny, because you read the articles on you, and it's all like, oh, it doesn't go out.
I had fun, but like, I mean, like,
well, you looking back, you feel like you had a little more fun than you probably.
Then like,
yeah.
But I was 18,
right.
You know what I mean, at the time, and I think that pushing all the chips into the center of the table really centered me, and said, all right, I'm done like messing around. Like, I'm gonna do everything that I possibly can to make it to the NFL. And I mean, I can show you in my notebook upstairs. Like,
What did you write down?
I'm gonna make it to the NFL. I think it was like 2016 or whatever. Like, I will be in the NFL. And like, I think the self-belief as I grew and changed positions and was like, I have two brothers that grew up the same way that I did, ate the same meals that I did, are willing to share all their secrets with me about how to be successful. Like, why can't I do it? And that's when things switched. I stopped resenting my brother. I was like, I'm gonna use him as much as I possibly can. I moved in with Derek. That was awesome to be able to live with him for a year in college because we butted heads so much, but to be able to live with him. And
Didn't you guys used to like beat the shit out of
we
each
used
other?
to beat the crap out of each other and over video games, anything. And that still comes out now from time to time, but living together gives you a whole new perspective and appreciation for your brother. It was pretty cool.
You talked about JJ and like stopping, resenting him. Tell about the time you guys watched film together.
Yeah.
Which I think was, at least up until that point, was the only time it had ever happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2016 I switched positions. And then I think I can't remember what year he came up, but he came up and we watched film together for the first time, which was really cool. I think he had his back injury at the time, so he wasn't down in Houston, he was up here rehabbing. And he came up to Madison and just wanted to get a film room, and we just watched film together, and this is the coolest thing in the world. Like, he wants to watch film with me, like, let's go. Like, I've only watched him on YouTube because I don't have access to the NFL stuff, you know what I mean? So to be able to sit down with him, have him pick apart my game and help me out, I mean, you've seen what it's done for me. It's been incredible. I think it's crazy to watch an NFL guy break down film when you haven't been in that space. Because in college, you're kind of just playing. Like, you don't have time to break down every little stance, whether it's run, pass, what plays could be coming. And like, I just remember, like, we turn out one play and he's like, dude, you're like a yard and a half off the line of scrimmage. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Like, is this where I line up? And he's like, that yard and a half could be a half a second or a quarter second. Like, take the whole ball. So then that's one of those things that stuck with me ever since. And even today, like, I'm known for having like one of the credit card alignment, like the tightest alignment on the football in the NFL because of that. Like, every little thing matters. And once I started looking at college like an NFL player, it took my game to the next level.
It's kind of crazy that you had that kind of reaction to having the opportunity to watch film with him, because I'm thinking as you're telling it, like, this is your brother, I would think.
People all the time are like, oh, you watch film all the time? I'm like, no, like, we are normal people too. Like,
when there was enough of an age gap.
Yeah, 6 years.
So
we're like, like, Jay he's a goofy guy. He's just, we're all goofballs. And I just remember, like, even when he was like 17, 18, and he would always just try to cheer us up and play funny songs in his car, and we'd just have a blast, man. He's so supportive of us. He really is. And like I said, he paved the way for us, and for him to be able to continue to want success for us has been awesome.
And now I understand multiple people mentioned to me you're like living on your iPad after a game.
Yeah.
Like almost instantly.
Too much, yeah.
And explain what you're doing.
I'm obsessed with just trying to figure out how to be better and find ways of, okay, I did this or I tried this, why did it work or why didn't it work? And there's always going to be a constant chase for greatness and being the best that I can possibly be, and knowing that I have a finite amount of time to play football and to do what I love for a living and to do it at a high level. So why not take everything that I possibly can to maximize that opportunity? And the iPad is one of those things that I'm trying to find. I mean, run pass, formational things, or just pass rush moves that I'm trying that don't necessarily work, but at least I'm always trying to evolve. If you come and watch us in training camp, I don't win a lot of reps, but I'm trying a lot of new stuff to see what works. Like a spin move, or like Daniil Hunter has this really cool move he plays for the Texans now, where it's like a chop and like a pull through, but he's like the only guy that I've seen that can possibly get this move done. And we've just been toying with it for like 2 years trying to do it. And I kind of have it down in practice, but the footwork is a little different. But for him, it works, and it's his great move. But I'm trying to take it from him, or at least implement it into my own game But it's one of those things that is a lot tougher to do than actually just see it on film and be like, oh, he made that look so easy. How do I do it?
Well, so then when you're watching the film, what specifically will you dissect and look for?
Where is the wasted movement? You know, like, does my pass rush in the first quarter look like it does in the fourth quarter? And why doesn't it? Like, how much of a factor does fatigue play into it? Am I getting lazy, or is it just because I'm tired? Or why are things working out in the fourth quarter that weren't in the first quarter? And I think a lot of it is pass rush is like a game of chess. And I watch the iPad in game too, because if I do this, his reaction is this. So now if I do this and he still does that, it's going to be a win. And it's just constantly going back and forth battle of like trying to figure out what he's going to do, but also realizing he's a person too, and he's also has that internal battle.
Money. I remember when I was talking to JJ, he told me after he signed his $100 million deal,
Googled, yeah.
He went on Google and he Googled what do rich people buy or something like that. So you're making a couple $1 million a year, and then all of a sudden you get your similar size deal. Like, how does that change things?
You hope it doesn't, honestly. It changes things in the sense that financial freedom is to do whatever we want and to be able to have nice things or to take great vacations, but you don't want it to define who you are and to overpower who the person is. And I think that comes back to having great support system and having great people around me. And Danny and I are very frugal. JJ laughs at us all the time. Like, in perspective, frugal. Obviously we live a great life, but I have a hard time. JJ's always like, dude, like, live it up a little bit. And I'm learning to indulge more and spend a little bit more for vacations and things that are meaningful to me, because that's what we work so hard for. But it's hard to break out of that where it's like, they want how much for a private chef? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I would rather not. And it's like, it's hard to find that balance.
What are things that he gets on you for?
This was 2 years ago. We went on a trip for bye week, and like, we just had a good game against the Ravens, had like 2 sacks or whatever, and then we flew down to Palm Beach for vacation for the rest of the bye week, and we took Southwest, and I got stuck in the middle seat. And Jada's like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, you just sacked Lamar Jackson twice yesterday, and now you're sitting in like 34B. He's like, spend the money, bro. Like, what else what are you waiting for? And like, those are moments where they're okay, like, I guess you're kind of right there. It doesn't make sense, like, especially timing wise. It's all about how you spend your time and things like that. But I mean, we really don't have, I don't have a passion for cars. We have a nice house. Like, we don't need much else. It's kind of hard to figure out. Like, I don't want to just go blow money just to blow money.
And deep down, are you concerned that if you spend beyond what you're used to, that some of that could cause you to take your eye off the prize, so to speak? Yeah, and it's like, when is it enough? Like, if I could have signed up for my rookie contract when I was a kid, I would have been like, I would have signed me up right away. Like, why? It's such an interesting conversation to have, because I would be so happy with what I have right now if you asked me 10 years ago. Right.
But why do I continue to want more? But for me, it's the continual chase of football that provides the wealth for me. I'm not chasing the wealth, I'm chasing the greatness of football, and that's the benefit that you get from it.
I know it's probably a bit of a sensitive subject matter because of the contract currently, but it's probably less about the overall dollar figure and more about getting paid consistent with your ability, and how, it doesn't matter if it's a dollar or a bazillion dollars.
Yes, it comes down to the market value.
Right.
And I don't dictate the market value. No player dictates the market value. But when the market value is a certain number, it's kind of like all things point to that. Like, I didn't ask for that, but when you're in a certain category, that is just kind of what's done at that point. And that's where things get tricky, because at the end of the day, I'm just playing football to the best that I possibly can, and the business side of it obviously always creeps its head into the window, and it's like, at what point you've earned and deserved a certain number or a certain thing you're looking for in a contract, and the market says that. So where do we stand?
What's your perspective on where that stands now relative to you?
In what situation? Like
Just what's your view on it currently?
the current
Right.
the current contract,
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, just like your situation currently.
I think it's allowed me to take a step back and enjoy being here with my family and spending time with Danny and Blakely and my family and friends that are here, and kind of remove myself from being so football focused all the time. And I think it's also allowed me to stand for what I feel I'm worth, and to know what I'm worth, and to have people in my corner that also are fighting for me. And I don't want to say fighting for me like I'm going through something, but to understand.
But any player needs their advocate.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, outside of you need somebody to look
Yeah.
out for your own.
Yeah, and
Best interest.
that's what's awesome to have JJ and Derek, who have gone through those contractual conversations before as well, and that's why it's important to have good agents who have your best interests. And it's tricky. That's why it's hard to talk about it. There's so many different layers to these contracts, but it all comes back to the market value, like we talked about.
I mean, the timing almost works out well, though, with having a newborn,
Yeah,
right? I
it
mean,
does.
if it was ever going to happen.
It does, and it's
Yeah.
one of those things that it's going to get handled one way or another. It's champagne problems at the end of the day. I understand.
What's your reaction when you read the stories about, just yesterday there's one coming out about teams possibly contemplating making trade offers for you?
Yeah, that's one of those things where the more you remove yourself, the better mental space you're going to be in. If I sit there and I read it every single day, and I'm texting my agents every single day about every little thing that's going on in the media, it's going to be removing me from being present in the moment. And that's why it's been important, like we talked about before, to remove myself from social media and just be present, and not look back on these years and say, I wish I would have been a better father, a better husband, a better friend, because I was so self-consumed in this contract situation, when I know it's going to get handled one way or another.
You think there's any chance at the start of the 2025 season you aren't a Steeler?
That's a great question. We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, it's not an impossibility that you could be.
I would love to
somewhere.
be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I
Yeah.
really would. I've enjoyed my time. 8 hard years. They believed in me to draft me and to give me a second contract and to change my life forever. And I no doubt want to be there. But it all comes back to how the contract negotiations go, and it's very complex.
What happens in a perfect world?
You got me there.
Oh, come on. I mean, in your perfect world.
In a perfect world, I'll give you a good answer. In a perfect world, I want what's best for my family, and I don't know what that is.
Why?
Because it comes back to, at what point is the market value, and at what point is what's best for your family, what's best for everybody involved. And I think at the end of the day, whatever decision is made from the Steelers or from me, I think it'll be the best for everybody.
What's your gut tell you in terms of what happens?
My gut tells me to wait, honestly. My gut tells me to wait and see how things play out, and to let my agents do their job, and to let the upper management and ownership in Pittsburgh sort it out with my agents. And
You start to feel disrespected?
I mean, I don't know. Disrespect is a very strong word. I think it's important to prioritize your players that have done things successfully at a high level for your organization. And not to say I don't feel prioritized necessarily, but there is frustration at times that a deal hasn't been done to this point.
Your brother, Derek, retired at 31. JJ retired at 33. Obviously 6 years younger than JJ, but you're kind of the last brother standing. How has their retirement impacted things for you?
It's been cool to see because they're polar opposites in the best ways. I mean, JJ's gone into broadcasting. He still does the commercials and is staying in the light a good amount, and also balancing family to the best of his ability. And I think he's a great father and a great husband as well, and it's so cool to see him be a dad. I think Koa looks so much like him, and I'm going to meet Nico here soon. And Derek has gone the other route where also is a phenomenal husband and dad to his kids, and they're to the age now where they're in t-ball and golf and stuff, so he's very involved in that. And he does a lot of golf himself, but he stays working out, but he doesn't necessarily work other than that right now.
How has it impacted your view of how long you play?
I don't know if it's really affected how long I want to play. I think
Even if subconsciously you're looking at now what they're doing.
I mean,
in
yeah,
next shift.
it's one of those things where it's nice. Like, it's nice to see that lifestyle now, but I always get the itch about this time to go back and
Yeah.
go back to work. And I'd never really asked them like where their mindset's at in August or September when things are really picking up football wise. And
Although now, does that make it weird for you right now? Because, you're similar to with the kid where the schedule's changing 20, 30 times a day when, you're in this kind of weird period, contract-wise, and you don't have a definitive clarity on what
well, it's difficult, definitely, and it can add stress to just the situation. The unknown is always stressful at times. But that's why it just comes back to handling my business and working out and keeping the routine, as much routine as I possibly can, so that when the time comes to play football, I'm ready.
You look at like Aaron Donald, who's 32 years old, one of the best players in the league, and then he's done. What do you think about when you
I think
see that?
I think it's really special when guys can retire when they're playing at a high level. You never want to be that guy that's just hanging on by a thread, and that was important for JJ, and I think it was cool to see him. I think he had 12 sacks or something. He was going off at the end, like those last couple weeks of his career, and he told me, he's like, once you have your first child, it almost frees you up mentally, because you're not always watching film. You're not always so like locked in and like anal over watching film every single night of like, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that, or I need to watch my hour of film, I need to get this massage at this time, I need to be doing. It's like, at some point, relax and just understand that you've put in so much work to get to this point, and you're still working hard. It's not like you're not working as hard just because you have a baby. It just gives you more perspective mentally, where you're in a much better space. You're not constantly racking your mind over that pass rush rep in the third quarter.
What's funny is we, a number of years back, went to the UK and filmed an episode with Lewis Hamilton, who has a notable social life outside of work. And he said he found when he started doing that, it actually allowed him to have more success in his career because he could take the mental break.
Yeah,
in terms of,
for the longest time, you'd like, if we were on vacation, you could ask me, and I'd be like, my mind is like thinking about football right now, and it's like it shouldn't be that way.
Right, you should enjoy the fruits of your labor and well-deserved and hard-earned time off.
And when it's time to lock in, you lock in. There's no question about what the mission is, or like being able to lock in the moment, but it's also being able to flip the switch off when I'm off the field has been a benefit to me for sure.
How do you feel about turning 30?
I'm 30. I'm turning 31.
I mean 31.
Yes.
You're now being 30. Sorry. Yeah.
I don't feel older. I don't feel like I'm 30. I don't feel like I'm turning 31. I understand the football world. Everybody says you're getting up there, whatever. I think my brother JJ told me a long time ago that, I don't know if it's true or anything, but he's like, your athletic prime is between 28 and 32. And I'm like, well, I'm still in the window, so I'm cool.
How about your view of Bruce Smith's record?
200, right? I think the chase for all the individuals.
What do you mean 200, right? Like you don't know.
I think the chase for all the individual stuff is behind me, honestly. I can honestly tell you that, because it wasn't the case for the first bunch of years in the NFL. I was trying to be more than just J.J. Watt's younger brother and try to pave my own path. And then once you win a Defensive Player of the Year and have individual success, I want team success more than anything. Not to say I didn't before, but it was definitely more like I want to prove myself as a player in the NFL. And now it's those things come. Like I'm not writing in my goal book X, Y, and Z. I'm writing in my goal book, be the best teammate I can possibly be. How can I help my team win a Super Bowl? Like, what does that look like? And all of those other accolades and stats follow. I mean, can't possibly play harder than I play. Like I'm playing as hard as I possibly can and doing everything that I possibly can to benefit my team. And sacking the quarterback obviously benefits my team, so those things take care of themselves.
What do you think you sacrificed to get to where you are?
A lot of quality time with quality people, but I also think it's made my circle a lot smaller, especially in the last 5 to 6 years of you get spread so thin when you come back home for the off season that you want to see everybody, and you realize growing apart from some people isn't always the worst thing. There's no bad intent to it, but it's just life. But the people that are really important that stick around are the people that you want to make sure you take care of and take time to be able to see them and spend quality time with them.
Because the reality is people grow in different directions,
exactly.
And you aren't the same person today
Absolutely.
that you were a couple decades
Yes.
ago when you and this person were
Yes.
buddies.
Yes, and Danny and I talk about that all the time, but being able to have those people to not sacrifice that at the end of the day is important to me. But I mean, probably social life, I've definitely sacrificed that. I mean, in Pittsburgh when we were doing distance, Danny and I would just come home from work and I would watch YouTube videos of pass rush and I'd watch film and I'd go to bed. Like it was like, It wasn't, I don't think that's a healthy way to live, especially as a 22, 24-year-old kid who's in the NFL. But I was just so obsessed with how can I get better? How can I get better? Football, that I really didn't want to do anything else.
How do you get in your own head?
Trying to,
like, in a negative way, like how will you screw your
I think
head up?
like, just like as an example from today, like Brad and I have been training for so long, but like last week everybody just came back from mandatory. So before that it was just me and him for like a month. It was awesome. But that can also be a detriment because when it's just me and him, you can tend to mess with stuff that doesn't need to be messed with. And whether it's running mechanics or like a certain pass rush move or you try to break things down too much where it's like, am I taking 3 steps here? Am I taking 4 steps here? How is it supposed to feel? And it's like, let me just black everything out and just do it because I've done it so many times that I can get back to that space where it's like, stop just for a second, stop coaching me and just let me do it naturally once as opposed to thinking about, let me get my knee up, let me make sure that my foot is angled in and I'm getting my big toe pressure down. That has been a benefit to me, and I think it's kind of been better as I'm more into the natural competition of having guys around where I'm not so like trying to do everything perfect.
What motivates you?
Trying to be the best that I can be. And I understand trying to be the best ever is very tough to do because it's always going to be up for debate. So I'm just going to try to be the best that I can possibly be. And winning a Super Bowl is no doubt motivating me. And winning a playoff game is absolutely motivating me. It's something that we haven't been able to do since I've been there. Mm-hmm. I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And that is what's attached to my name right now. And I have to answer for that. As much as it sucks when you say TJ Watt, XYZ, you also say TJ Watt not won a playoff game. And
Does that genuinely bothers you?
Oh, it genuinely bothers me because I'm a part of those teams. As much as I'm only one player, as much as whoever is one player, like you are putting your hand in the pile too. I feel like I can make a difference enough to help win a playoff game, and to have that to your legacy, especially when you play for an organization that has 6 Super Bowls and has, when Mean Joe Green comes back, it's Mean Joe Green, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. I don't even know how many Super Bowls he's won. Jerome Bettis, 1 or 2-time Super Bowl champion. Like, it's like TJ Watt, yeah, great individual player, but what's the team success? And that's what really bothers me.
On the football front, Aaron Rodgers, how do you view him?
I don't really have much of an opinion on him, honestly. And I asked Herb what he said to the team because I wasn't able to be there. And it was just along the lines of just get to know me and form an opinion about me. And I really respect that. And I think it's one of those things where when there's so much about you out in the media, anybody can read and make up an assumption about who someone is. But until you meet them face to face, you really shouldn't get to judge.
Have you had a chance to connect with him?
I have not had a chance to connect with him yet.
What are your hopes with him?
I hope that he plays really good football.
Yeah.
That's the hope every single year, is that whoever's on the field, whether what position they play, I hope they play the best football they've played in their life, and that's myself included.
All right, so random NFL issues. How about the tush push? Your thoughts?
I mean, I'm just glad I don't have to be at the bottom of those piles. I'm usually like more in like the B and C gap areas.
How about new overtime rules?
As a defensive guy, I really don't. I mean, I'd rather have myself like us go out there, take a stand, but I understand what gets ratings these days, and that's scoring touchdowns and offensive points.
How do you view what's going on with the NIL right now?
It's crazy. Wild Wild West is the best way to put it. There really is no allegiance to universities. I don't know if my story would be possible today. I don't know if
What?
Because if I get hurt, they're just going to continue to bring in new guys. And maybe I would have said, instead of switching positions, I would have said, screw this place, I'm going to go try somewhere else. And I'm sure just being J.J. Watt and Derek Watt being my brothers, I probably could have made a decent money just kind of loafing around and not really pushing myself. So I think it can take motivation away. I think it's great for athletes who use it as a benefit and are able to make money for themselves and their family. I think it's something to monitor for guys when they get in the NFL if the money really changes them or not, because they already have money. So that's very interesting.
If you were the one creating the rules for what should happen, what would you do?
I have no idea. That's a great question. I'm not like locked in enough to be able to even say, but I think there definitely needs to be some sort of parameters in the transfer thing. That's one of the things that I think it's important to take pride in your university that you go to. And I don't want anyone to be locked into a university if they're in a bad situation. They can transfer out, whatever that looks like. But I think that if you make a commitment to a university to a certain extent, you should honor that commitment and play for them and bring the pride in having your hand in the pile for that organization to see the development throughout, because it's hard for these coaches too, I'm sure, to be able to develop when guys just want to play right away and they're not willing to take the long road.
So I want to ask you about this nut allergy,
Yeah.
which is like a real,
Oh,
quite frightening at times thing. I want to run through just some different moments and have you tell about what went on. The first and kind of most famous story was the European vacation with the brothers.
Yeah. We went out so I used to always eat the pesto cavatappi from Noodles and Company, right? But I didn't know it didn't have pine nuts in it, so I could eat that. I didn't know whatever. So we went out to a restaurant, got pesto cavatappi, and took like 2 bites, and I was getting an allergic reaction, and I hive up in the throat, and it start to wheeze, and it's hard to breathe.
And how quickly do you know something's up?
Yeah, they change, honestly. Like back then, it was like within minutes. Sometimes it depends on what it is that I eat, because sometimes it can be within minutes, or sometimes it can be an hour delayed. So like it'll really mess you up, an hour delayed. But I had the reaction. We tried to get a freaking taxi, but there's like a million taxis, and we go to the back one, and the guy's like, well, we can't get in this taxi, you have to go to the front one. So then JJ's all pissed, Derek's pissed, we're like running up to the front taxi. We go to the hospital eventually, and they don't let my brothers come back with me. And then I'm trying to like explain to them what a tree nut is, and they don't understand. I'm like translating it, and people are around me, they take my shirt off, and I'm just like all red, and like doctors are like gasping at like what's going on. I'm like, all right, this can't be good. And finally they're able to treat me, but my brothers are out in the waiting room, and they are just like looking at this screen trying to like figure out.
Of red, green, and
yeah, like
blue
red,
dots
green,
or something?
and,
Or yellow, red,
yeah,
green,
I couldn't like, I don't know, they tell the story better than me, but yeah, they were basically freaking out because for whatever reason, I think maybe I was under 18 at the time, so whatever, they couldn't let them see me or whatever it was. But yeah, they were freaking out.
Were you concerned like you were going to die?
I've never been concerned that I'm going to die, but I've been concerned that like this is going south very fast. I need to get it figured out. I've never like truly like thought I was going to die.
What about Derek's wedding?
Derek's wedding was another one where it was like, no, please, they like asked them to make sure no nuts were there or whatever, at least on my food, and ended up somehow cross-contamination like 20 minutes into the dance part, like the party part of the night. After dinner, I started having an allergic reaction. I had to go to the emergency room, and I missed like 2 hours of his wedding, which sucked. But that was, I mean, Danny was with me for that one. That was her first time she was with me. She was like,
what's she doing?
She was bawling, like she was uncontrollable. Because like, it is hard to see. Like I swell up completely, like in the face, in the neck, everything. And like I start to wheeze, and it's like minute by minute, it's harder and harder for me to breathe. But as soon as I get the medicine, it generally helps me.
And this is your brother's wedding. The caterer had been warned.
Yeah,
they knew better.
It was a whole thing. It really was. I had one at the Steelers fashion show my rookie year.
James Harrison had to take you to the hospital, right?
That one messed me up because it was like an hour and a half after I ate the calamari. It was like a Asian style calamari with like cashews in it. And like 10 minutes before we were supposed to go on to the fashion show, whatever runway, someone was like, dude, what's up with your face? And I was like, well, that's not good to hear. So let me go look at my phone, and my face was blown up. And yeah, James took me to the hospital, full speed, blowing red lights and everything. It was dumb because the ambulance is right next to us, like when we walked out of the building.
Okay, I have heard though you're supposed to have an EpiPen, and you often won't carry one.
Everybody thinks I'm dumb for that, and I know I'm dumb for that. But I hate carrying. I just hate carrying things because I know I'm going to lose it. And the EpiPen is not like small; it's like a pencil, you know.
Yeah, but it could save your life.
I know.
Well, and your parents were telling me how each one kind of gets worse over time.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, is it's getting worse. And like,
what's the worst one you've had?
I mean, the one I just had in Arizona 2 or 3 years ago was pretty bad. I think that was the last one that I had.
Because you couldn't, the hospital was like closed, right?
Yeah, that one I had an EpiPen for, and I stabbed myself with the EpiPen. I was so pissed. I'm like, I tell them I'm allergic to tree nuts, severe allergy, and they bring out bread, and they bring out like that oil sauce or whatever at the bottom. It's usually like a garlic, like it looks like garlic, but it must have been a nut or something. So then like 2 bites in, I knew something was wrong. So I went to the car, and Danny told, Danny's got a fiery side, so she told them off, and then we left. And then
she seems like she could stand up for you when needed. Yeah.
And I stabbed myself with the EpiPen, and I've only used the EpiPen. That was the second time in my life I've used my EpiPen. And the first time I used it, it worked right away. That time I used it, nothing, literally nothing. So I was like, all right.
Oh, well, that's then really
Yeah,
terrifying.
I was like, we're screwed here. We need to find a place, and we're in Sedona. I'm like, no idea where the next closest hospital emergency room is. We get to one of them, and they're not accepting patients or whatever. Their rooms are all full.
And they know you're having
Yeah, and I'm like, I need medicine right now. And finally we ended up getting back. I was in the hallway. They didn't have a room for me, and I just called my team doc. That's where being like, my situation is just awesome, because I can call my team doc, and he can talk to their doctors and just hash everything out and get the situation under control pretty quickly.
And your dad was saying there was another instance where he like swiped crumbs off the bed, or
yeah, there's been many times. Yeah. My dad, well, he's a paramedic
he was
too,
screwing
so he
around
knows.
and
Yeah.
like hit you
so
in the
he's
face
like,
with
he's giving me
crumb or something.
He's giving me the hard time in Minnesota Super Bowl. We're there. We used to always go to Super Bowls as a family and hang out and stuff. And I was just hanging out with him before like the award show or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, you allergic to this or something?" He like threw one at me. It like it was like a pecan or something. It hit me in the eye, and my whole face blew up from that. So that's never happened to me before. Obviously, I've only ingested them. I've never had them touch my skin before. So that was like, I didn't realize how severe the allergy was until that moment, and he obviously felt terrible.
Thanks for making the time to do this.
Thank you. It was fun.